The Prime Minister is heading to Alberta tomorrow, the day the Alberta government's proposal for a West Coast pipeline is due.
For Alberta to submit a proposal on or around July 1st, that's tracking well from their perspective. All aspects of the implementation, what is now an implementation agreement, are linked. So pathways, the reforms to the carbon market, potential pipeline, a series of other measures that are taken, including measures by the federal government.
For more, I'm joined by Minister of Finance, François-Philippe. Thank you for making the time, Minister.
It's a real pleasure, Catherine, to be talking to you today from Jasper in Alberta.
Yes, well, it's good you point out you are in Alberta, and we know, of course, that it is expected that the Alberta government is going to put forward its vision for this pipeline on Thursday. I'm wondering, you've been talking to folks, how much pressure are you feeling to make this pipeline a reality on the federal government's part?
Well, I would say, I think it's being clearer, and yesterday I was with the head of the International Energy Agency that says Canada is seen more and more as an energy superpower, that in the redesign of the global energy architecture, Canada is in the leading position to play a bigger role when it comes to export, whether it's about conventional energy or renewable energy, whether you're talking about LNG, whether you're talking about oil and gas, whether you're talking about nuclear. So I think what you're seeing today in the country and what you're seeing, the interest internationally for Canada, is that today our partners around the world, the commodity that is most sought after is trust and stability and predictability. And in a world which is very uncertain, very complex, very volatile, countries around the world, our partners and allies in Asia Pacific and Europe, are looking for a partner, a stable partner when it comes to energy security. And this is calling on Canada to increase its exports of energy. With respect to what you said, I won't speculate about what may or may not be coming, but what I can say, generally speaking, is that Canada is seen more and more as a key partner when it comes to energy security in the world, as the world is going to this big transformation in terms of energy architecture.
Given everything that you said about Canada as an energy superpower, does it worry you that there is still no private company backing this pipeline proposal?
Well, what I can tell you is what I hear from investors, from partners. You just have to look at Bay du Nord and Newfoundland and Labrador, which have been looking to go forward with their project, which is going to be significant on an offshore of Newfoundland and Labrador. You're looking at Shell, which doubled down their investments in Canada. I mean, you've seen major energy companies choosing Canada, and there's a reason for that. I often say, in light of what you see in the Middle East, one thing is clear is that geography doesn't change much, and people don't change much either. So these choke points around the world are always going to be calling for diversification. And this is really the essence of what we heard from the International Energy Agency just this week, which was saying this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Canada to be that partner of choice when it comes to energy exports. So I think Canadians from coast to coast understand that we have an opportunity there, and we can produce responsibly, sustainably, and that our partners around the world are looking for Canada to step up. And that's exactly the policy we've been putting in place with our investment tax credit, the major project office, the leadership of the Prime Minister, both domestically but also on the international scene, is really paying dividends. So I can tell you there's a lot of people that are looking at Canada today.
As Finance Minister, what would you say to Canadians about how important the revenue from a new oil pipeline to the West Coast would be? I mean, you listed a bunch of projects here, but advocates of this project would say this specific one is a big deal when it comes to GDP in Canada.
Well, I'll just refer to energy more specifically. I think what you're looking is that as more and more processes are being electrified, more and more of the electric stack is going to make a difference in terms of GDP growth. So for Canada to be at front and center when it comes to the generation of energy, to be able to produce more energy, that's why we said by 2050 that we'll double the grid in the country to connect from east to west and north. These kind of investments, what you're seeing in Darlington in terms of nuclear energy, we're going to be the first G7 country with a small modular reactor. These kind of things, I would say, Catherine, are being noticed around the world. And I think it is clear that the energy sector is a key component of growth. And therefore, I think in a world which is in a state of profound transformation, I think it's an opportunity for Canada to seize. We have the knowledge, we have the expertise, we have the workers, we have strong industries, we have access to market. We've been blessed by geography. We have access to 3 oceans. There's no choke points that prevent our oil from going to our partners around the world. So I think that the kind of work you're seeing across the country, as finance minister, I can tell you, that's one of the mega trends you're seeing around the world is for countries who can increase their export of energy to do so. And Canada is often singled out as one of the country, if not the country, which has one of the greatest opportunity to achieve that.
You're talking about a lot of low emissions technology. The Prime Minister put out this video today, this forward guidance, in which he said because of the broader push to energy, so now we're back to talking about oil and gas, Canada's greenhouse gas emissions are going to be higher in the next few years. Anybody who looks at climate will tell you the 2030 emissions targets now seem to not be a reality, particularly when you look at what the Prime Minister said. The emissions are going to go up over the next few years. How many other emissions targets do you expect Canada to miss as we pursue this energy vision of your government?
Well, I would say the world is seeing Canada as one of the most responsible and sustainable producer of energy.
Even if we miss emissions targets, sir?
Project. Well, let me just finish on that. Just look at the Bay du Nord project where you say this is going to be the lowest emission field in its class. What you're seeing is that with the Pathway project that is being pursued here in Alberta, with the number of investments we've made in terms of sequestration and capture, CCUS as we call, technology and innovation, I think that Canada is seen as one of the leaders when it comes to producing energy both responsibly but also sustainably. And I think technology is a friend in respect of that, that at the same time, you can increase your export of energy if you invest also in technology that will capture carbon, so that therefore you are the partner of choice for our allies around the world, because it's clear that there's an energy transition going on in the world, but you just have to listen to Fatih Birol again, which is the executive director, the head of the International Energy Agency, just yesterday, or the day before, I think it was yesterday, he mentioned, yes, there's going to be a transition, but Canada has the uniqueness, opportunity to have all of these technology and all these resources. You're going from oil and gas to LNG export to nuclear to hydroelectricity. So we've been blessed with all these technology and opportunities, and I think Canadians understand that it is incumbent upon us to seize that opportunity to produce responsibly but also sustainably.
I do want to get a couple questions about CUSMA in here. Sir, Reuters reporting today that the Trump administration will formally declare in this meeting tomorrow that it won't extend this agreement. Now, I know Canadian officials have looked at that story, put a lot of cold water on it, said that they don't necessarily think that that's what's going on. What position do you expect the U.S. to take?
Well, what I can tell you is that, we've been trading with the United States for decades, and we will continue to trade with the United States for decades. Just put things in perspective. When I go to Washington, I always remind them that we're their top customer. We buy more from the U.S. than China, Japan, and the U.K. combined. That 2/3 of the United States is Canada's their first export market. That a decision on one side would have an impact on both. That what we have has made us resilient and obviously competitive. So I am also very confident that we will continue, obviously, to trade with the United States. We are integrated in terms of geography. But at the same time, the Prime Minister has been clear to Canadians, we need to focus on what we can control. So what can we control? Is, for example, me and Jasper today to rebuild our community after the devastating 2024 fire, to make a landmark investment of $500 million to rebuild the national park and the community. It's to remove interprovincial trade barriers so we can, I think the OECD was saying we could gain $210 billion of GDP in the country, is to diversify our market, is to invest in Canadians and our prosperity. That is the kind of things that we can control. Everyone would like certainty in this world. But I would say that certainty today is to focus on what we can control, and that's exactly what we're doing. At the same time,
well, Minister, no, I'm going to stop you there, Minister.
For workers, for industry,
but the question was, what position do you expect the U.S. to take tomorrow? And I did not discern an answer there.
Yeah, well, I don't want to speculate on that. What I'm saying is I'm focusing on what we do here in Canada. That's what we control, is what we do for Canadians, for our workers, for industry, for this country. We have an ambitious agenda, generational investment. We have been trading with the United States, like I said, for decades. We will continue to trade with them for decades. There's no doubt about that.
Well, free trade is the question, though, sir.
What I'm saying is that, yeah, but I mean, if you look, just put things in perspective at the same time. I mean, if you look at the strategy that Canada has been employing to defend our industries, our workers, if you look at the, 85% of the goods are still subject to CUSMA exemption. We have the lowest effective tariff rate. And you have to accept, Catherine, you have to accept that our southern partner has decided to change the way they're going to trade with the world, to impose tariffs to all the countries in the world. This is the new reality. This is the world we live in. Now, what I'm saying is, obviously, this is the headline number. If you're in the steel industry in Hamilton, you feel it differently. Mm-hmm. If you're in aluminium in Lac-Saint-Jean, it's very different. If you're in the softwood lumber in BC or the auto sector in Oshawa. So both on sectors and region, it's being felt differently. That's why we stepped up and make sure we would protect the workers, the industry, and pivot if you see a number of industries, they've been pivoting to also exports to other markets. You've seen that our overseas exports are going up. So we'll continue to trade with our American partners, but at the same time, we're going to focus on building the strongest economy here in Canada.
Okay, we are going to have to leave it there. Thank you for making time for us on this trip to Alberta, Minister. Appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.